We're the ones who dare to dream. We won't let anyone hold us back. We'll take the road, let's travel by and build our empire piece by piece. We've got our dreams and we've got a plan. We're not afraid to take a stand. We'll face the risks and embrace the fear, cause we know that success is near. There will be times when we'll fall down, but we'll get up and turn it around. We're entrepreneurs, we're not afraid to lose. We'll keep moving forward, we got nothing to prove.
You see, already I figured out, I was like, wait a second, it's not exactly as planned. Things are different. The more things change, the more they stay the same. No. One of my mentors, Rashad Tabakawala, he said, the more you want things to stay the same, the more you have to change. Think about that. The more you want things to stay the same, the more you have to change. Now, staying the same can be, it's not just status quo, but if status quo is survival, if it's cash flow, if it's growth, then hell yeah, you want things to stay the same. But the only way you're going to get there is by changing. So I'm in a new office. I'm in a new studio. For those of you that have been watching me for the last 4 years, you will notice that the background, the whole green screenery, even though the screen is actually white, is new because, listen, nobody wants to watch paint dry, and hopefully you don't use that to describe me. And, you know, one of the great quotes from one of my guests on the other show, on Joseph Jaffe's Not Famous, is vanilla. It's the most popular flavor, but no one will drive across town for it. What a brilliant line, right? You want to be vanilla? You want to just be like everyone else? You want to be average? You want to just fit in? That's fine. You'll be amongst, you know, the popular, but you'll never, ever stand out. I'll tell you one person who does stand out. You see, I was looking at the background, and I was like, wait a second, am I seeing double? Am I seeing triple? Because, well, you should want to see more of Justin. You should want to see more of him because, you know, and I was thinking, first of all, I heard him speak, and he's just absolutely exceptional. I mean, a keynote that is, you know, he's the keynoter's keynote, I guess. But he spoke from the heart. He was emotional. He was personal, and he taught a whole group of EOS implementers, coaches, so much about themselves, about mindset, about love, about teamwork, about family. It left an indelible mark on me and on my life, and I'm sure he will do the same for you today. He will be on the show shortly. But one of the things I wanted to do is just share with you a quote of the episode. This is a quote. This is something I've been doing now for 15 plus episodes. And this is your quote for today. Try the Goldilocks approach to leadership and management. Not too much, not too little, just enough, just right. I have to tell you, as a leader myself, I struggled. I struggled with being the control freak, with over-managing, with not letting go, with not delegating. But on the other hand, I moved to a completely different pendulum. And suddenly, I was just leaving people to, you know, die on the vine. I was just leaving people out there, hanging out to dry. I would say, just figure it out. And I would give no structure or too little structure. And guess what? People don't want that. They want structure. They want direction. They want just enough for them to be able to, you give them the rope, as they say, enough rope, enough slack for them to lasso their way to climb the mountain, as opposed to just enough slack to hang themselves. But enough of that. Let's move on. And it's time for my why statement. As a teacher, facilitator, and coach, I help high aspiring entrepreneurs, owners, and their leadership teams get unstuck, return to growth, and become forever changed. And I do that through the entrepreneurial operating system. If you want to see where your organization, how healthy your organization is, we know your organization is smart, but how healthy is it? Use the QR code on the left. And then on the right, if you want to begin your journey, start off with the first chapter of Gino Wickman's book, Traction, for free. I have to tell you that, and I mean this from the heart, I have learned so much about myself through becoming a coach. I have grown in so many ways. To me, this has been like one of those those mindfulness retreats without the mindfulness, no, without the medicine. But I've seriously learned so much, and I've realized not only does mindset matter, but mindset is absolutely everything. And it's very hard when you're down. It's very hard when you're struggling to believe someone else that tells you it's all about the mindset. But truthfully, it absolutely is. It always was. And sometimes I guess you just have to figure it out yourself. You just have to go through it yourself. But you're lucky. You don't have to figure it out for yourself, because my guest, and I was thinking, I'm just going to take a flyer, because I was thinking, I didn't ask him, Justin Maust or Justin Maust. I think it's Justin Maust. Is it Maust? Maust. I could see him, Justin Maust. I should have asked. I was so excited in my new studio. You see, one of the things that I started doing as well is that I started trying to find images using a little bit of AI that would bring my guests to life. And what I realized is, if this show is called The Entrepreneur's Journey, we are all heroes of our own journey. In fact, we're not just heroes, we are superheroes. So who would Justin Maust be? Justin Maust, he would be what I called Mr. 75 Hard. He would be a man that is mentally and physically tough. And this is the superhero, Justin. Now you can see it. That is Mr. 75 Hard. Physically and mentally strong, with grit, with determination, with resilience, with the ability to go not only the extra mile, but to keep going. Justin Maust is an expert EOS implementer and founder and owner of Rackley Restoration, a 24/7 emergency response fire and water restoration company. Because he doesn't have enough time, energy, or ambition, he's also the founder and creator of the 10,000 Achievements Challenge. He's a certified John Maxwell leadership speaker, trainer, and coach, and a certified exit planning advisor. Whew. Justin is on a mission to ignite and fuel people with tools and disciplines to succeed. It is my pleasure to welcome him on the show. Justin, welcome.
Joseph, thank you so much. Honored to be here, my friend.
I'm feeling very meta here, because we've both got the black shirts, and I've got images of you in the background, and so
I've got images of 3 mentors in the background. I'll keep it down here for you.
It's like, I don't know, it's like a hallway of mirrors, but it's totally fine, because here we are. Look, there we go. Now, even more so. Now, I'll go back to the normal one. Justin, we met, although you didn't know me from Adam, and I saw you presenting virtually, and I think I said something along the lines to you, which is, I've never given a standing ovation to someone presenting virtually, but I stood up for you because it was just that good.
Wow, I need to introduce you to some really good speakers, because that's too bad. Thank you. That's awesome.
Self-deprecation, humility, humbly confident,
or sarcasm, one or the other.
And the ability to take a compliment, by the way, which is really hard. I'm gonna do my little ADHD squirrel. We have the squirrel animals. I'm gonna squirrel immediately, which is, and I don't know whether you know the answer to this or not, but I figure you will have an answer, which is 2 parts. Why is it so hard to give compliments to others, and why is it so hard to take a compliment?
Oh, I think it's really hard to give compliments to others because we don't think about others enough. I think we haven't trained our brains to actually look for the success in others. And so it's just, we put our head down, we run hard, especially if you're an entrepreneur or a leadership team member, type A personality. We just haven't built the mental discipline or the decision to say, I'm going to look for it. That's one. And then taking compliments, I try to take them, but I'm always a deflector. I'm always, I think that, I don't know. I think I should just sometimes shut up and say, well, thank you very much. I think that's wonderful. But I didn't grow up that way. My family, I think I learned this from my dad. We are if you're loved, you get ripped on a lot, and that is the sign of love. So we just are very sarcastic, and so I always can make fun of myself because my dad, he still makes fun of himself to this day.
Well, self-deprecation, it's definitely one of my uniques. I've decided to coin a new phrase, which is there are people that go out there fishing for compliments, and I'm going to make one little edit. I've got a crack production team of me, myself, and I here, but I've replaced it with a concept called fishing to compliment. So there's fishing for compliments and fishing to compliment. We should, to your point, be intentional and take the time to compliment someone, because just find something about them that and it is probably one of the most powerful means of just making someone's day, maybe their life. You never know.
Huge. It is. It does. It saves people's lives legitimately. Super important that people recognize you don't know what's going on in their world. And if you don't see them and recognize them, maybe nobody will, because you might be the best resource for them to have some hope and some life. And so we got to take every opportunity.
It's true. It's true. And we're playing a little bit of what I call intellectual pickleball here, because I'm going to lob it right back to you, which is the same applies when someone's having a bad day. The same applies. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it as an expert implementer. When someone comes in, one of your members of your leadership team, and they're just having a bad day, they're off their baseline. There's just something off. And instead of it's like, instead of being angry, almost kind of just recognize that something's going on. So it works both ways. Yeah.
Well, that's what great leadership is. It's celebrating and evaluating and saying, hey, I see you. What's going on? You're not in your A game. What's happening? Or, hey, that was freaking awesome. Either way, you're conveying the point that I see you, you matter to me, you're worth recognizing. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, it's investing into that person, helping them know they're loved, cared for, and on a team.
Take the time to take the time and make the time. So I love that little segue or that little tangent, etc. Before we talk about your own entrepreneurial journey, because it is a unique journey and it is uniquely you. And quite frankly, if we are all heroes of our own journey, then we should celebrate that and that story. But I like to kind of play a little bit of this idea of we talk about uniques. This is not so much your uniques, but what is actually unique? People think they know you, but do they really know you? Do you really know your coach? So we sent our investigators into the field to find some dirt on you, Justin. And we didn't find much, but we did find the fact that you will be you are on day 73 of the 75 hard program today, and the transformation, I feel, is exceptional. Congratulations.
That I don't know what to say. It's unbelievable, really, when I look at that picture.
You did all the hard work, my friend. You did all the hard work. All right, so we'll take that away. Tell us about the 75 hard program.
So the 75 hard program is very simple. It's a mental toughness program. Andy Frisella put it together. It's free. I think I paid like $5 for an app just to keep track of it. But it's more of a mental toughness program than it is this physical fitness challenge. But boy, does it work for so many things. So you have to do a handful of disciplines every day. And if you miss any one of them, you have to start over to the beginning. So it's 75 days in a row of 2 45-minute workouts every day. One of them has to be outdoors. And the workouts, they don't have to be massively intense every time. You can go for a walk in the evening, and that counts as a workout as long as it's 2 45-minute ones. The next one is you have to drink a gallon of water every day. Then you have to take a progress picture every day. You have to be on a diet. And again, you get to choose. So it has to be something that is cleaner than what you normally do, something moving you towards your ideal self. No cheat meals, no alcohol, and then you have to read 10 pages, real physical pages of a book every day. Those are the handful of disciplines. And if you miss any one of them, you've got to start over. So I'm on day 72, I think. What is my phone tells me exactly my day. So yes,
73,
I am on day
apparently.
73. Day 73, yes.
Listen, you lost me at the word, at the very first word you said you, and I was like, no, I'm out. I don't have the discipline.
It has been an amazing tool. And I'm one of those guys where success, love, discipline is a mantra of mine, but I'm more of a visionary. I'm more of an entrepreneur. I'm an idea guy, and discipline has come very hard to me. And so I've always looked for external resources and structure that I can grab hold of. And once it's a challenge, once I see the target, then I'm like a dog on the back of a meat truck. So this has been, Andy built an amazing program, and I'm benefiting from his structure, and we're having fun.
Well, I think one of those, dog with a bone goals might be to dunk the basketball at the age of 50. So there you are. Look at you. You're like, the Larry Bird of implementers. I don't know, but that's impressive.
I'm 1 inch. I'm less than an inch away. I'm so close. I've been able to dunk from like 17 years old to 44 years old. Then I got an injury in my shoulder, or an injury in my foot, then in my shoulder. And then I got COVID back in 21. And I use that as a great excuse. I think a lot of people have been able to use that. So I'm going to fully leverage that one. And, but now I'm back at it, and I'm so freaking close. It's a very vain goal, but man, I don't care what you have going on. If you don't have some fun individual personal goals, you're just missing out on life. It's just too fun not to set something like that.
You make me think, Justin, of this idea of whether we're parents with respect to our kids, whether we're coaches with respect to our clients, but just this idea of on the one hand, or in the one corner, you've got this idea of anything you want in life you can have, or anything in life, whether it's manifesting, whether it's the secret, this ability to say, if you want it badly enough, and if it's that important, you'll figure out whatever it takes to get that. But there are some things in life that are just unattainable, that are just unrealistic.
Yeah.
How do you find the balance between pushing and finding out where that line is and what you truly are capable of? Because we are capable of so much more than we actually think.
Yeah. I think you have to have a healthy dose of self-awareness. I think of the show, what is it, America's Got Talent or The Voice, or there's some people that they get on stage and they think they're amazing at it. And I think they got on the stage because they only listened to their mom, and they didn't listen to anybody else. They didn't put themselves in a room. And so that lack of awareness, I think, is where, for me, I try to set, even though they're unrealistic to some people, I try to look at my skills and what I deeply desire. And am I willing to pay the price to get where I want to go? And that's how I set my goals. And then I have a beautiful bride, and she helps me see reality and gain awareness in a way that I probably would never be able to. So I think you got to have some self-awareness, and then you got to surround yourself with amazing people that are willing to, I say it, stab you from the front. They're not going to backstab you, but they'll tell you the truth right to your eyeballs, right in front of you. And to me, that's a huge piece of setting realistic, challenging targets that you're committed to.
There is so much to unpack from this concept, this brilliant concept of stab you to your front. We all need someone like that. We talk about, as you know, open and honest. We talk about entering the danger.
Yeah.
But one thing I learned very early in my process as a coach is it's easy to enter the danger, but it doesn't feel great once you've entered it. suddenly
Yeah.
then you're like, but what she said, but I think we're saying the same thing. So there's backtracking that happens. So
Yeah.
entering is a lot easier than staying in the danger and getting really comfortable in the danger, in the open and honest, because, you may not like what you're about to hear, dot, dot, dot.
Yeah. But I love you because you said this is your dream. You need to know this. And then you say it. You got to get it on the table.
I think Jerry Seinfeld wrote a book called "Is This Anything?" Which is like the ability. I think it was called that. But
Yeah.
sometimes you're looking at it and like, is this anything? Is this actually something, or is it really not anything? But
Yeah.
and if you can't trust somebody, if you trusting yourself is one thing, but trusting others is much more important. Something
Huge.
something that just came out of the last episode, and you naturally put it into this one, and it got to the point where I'm like, you know what, I want to ask every entrepreneur who their role models are, and in this case, you will be pleased to know there's no more AI. Unless you want it. But you spoke about your heroes, and I actually like the fact this all completely unprompted. You said, besides your father and besides God, and which is not to diminish the power of God and the power of a parent, because I would probably say the same thing. But you took it one step further, and you mentioned two gentlemen. And I would love for you to tell us why Stanley Tam and David Green, US Plastics and Hobby Lobby, are your heroes, your role models.
So I have so many of them, but these two gentlemen, I've met them both. I've spent time with both of them. Stanley Tam first. When I was 23 years old, my pastor gave me a book called God Owns My Business, and it was written by Stanley. And Stanley had a company in Lima, Ohio, and he basically took his company and gave it to God on paper. He created a foundation where he had no ownership of his company. He gave the entire company to this foundation that was dedicated to funding the Oriental Mission Society. And so for me, realizing that this is a guy that's, when I talked to him after I read his book, I talked to him when he was 87 years old, and he had just retired at age 84. No retirement really in his life. Even at 87, he says, I'm still going to the office 5 days a week, and we're still got work to do. And he was on a mission, so I got the chance to meet him. And when I met him, it's when it sunk in, this reality. I said, Stanley, do you have any goals? And he looked at me, and I was immediately embarrassed because I'm realizing he's 93. He's about 5'4", hunched over. And he looked at me and goes, goals? Oh, I had some, almost like, dude, I'm 93. I'm about to die. I don't set goals anymore. And what came out of his mouth is what hooked me. He said, Justin, he goes, I wanted to give $100 million to fund this mission that I'm passionate about, the Oriental Mission Society. He goes, to date, it was so exciting to watch God like grow our company. To date, we've given over $130 million to fund that mission. And then he said, number two, I wanted to travel the world doing missionary work. And I'm here helping business owners get what they want out of their business. And here's a 93-year-old still extremely passionate about his goals. And he said, I wanted to travel the world doing missionary work. He goes, my wife and I traveled the globe 8 times, the most amazing experience of my life. And then he paused. He looked down at the ground. He looked at me and goes, and the third one, I can't remember it, but I'm sure I did it. And it was at that moment that I'm like, oh my goodness, here's a guy that he's not worried about the 100-item bucket list. He just wants to be committed to the few things he feels God's called him to. And he's put his head down. And from 1940 is when he started his company. From 1940 through last year in April was when he died. He was on that mission and he never let go of it until the Lord took him home at 107 years old. And he'd given over $160 million. So I love people that are intentional with their life. And so that's anything for me is I want to run in such a way as to win the prize. And he was a model. He's a model of what I hope to have even a sliver of impact like what that man has had. Very impressive. And then David Green, if you don't know who he is, he's the founder of Hobby Lobby, and I've read all of his books. This past May, I spent a day and a half with him. One of his co-authors, Bill High, they wrote several books together about generosity and impact. And David started a company from scratch with $600 52 years ago. And today it's a $7.5 billion enterprise. In unpacking and seeing behind the curtain of how they built it and what they did, and his conviction and his commitment and his 5 to 6 days of work a week for 52 years running on the same path. What is not to admire about a story of grit and commitment and focus and unique ability? And he literally says, he goes, I've been given the gift of retail, ministry of retail, retail merchandising. And he said, that's my unique ability. And he goes, I've been doing it for 52 years and I'm not done yet at 82 years old. So long answer, but for Justin Maust, you rarely get to spend time with people that think like that. He gives 50% of his profits to fund missions that he's passionate about. And he's relentless. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need to go to work anymore. He didn't need to go to work at 62 and he's 82. He's not done because he's still here. So those are my reasons. I love business. I love Jesus, and I love helping people. And these guys, they model it in a way that I could only dream of.
I think probably Stanley and David, when they met you, they looked at you and they said, I shall call him Mini-Me, because I see those traits in you. But you know, Justin, I mean, we can already cherry pick with respect to some of the things that EOS that we teach and that we help, which is the power of core focus, right?
Yeah.
Being on a mission and not getting distracted. The importance of staying on mission, on course, whether we talk about setting rocks, whether we talk about the ability to recharge our energy, the power of a 10-year target that then we can kind of backfill or retrofit into a 3-year picture, a 1-year plan, 90-day goals as well. And I think the most important one is, I mean, again, there's so many, even hitting the ceiling and wanting to give up. But these are two gentlemen that recognized that this was not just a marathon, as I say, a marathon, not a sprint, but sometimes an endurance marathon, sometimes an extreme endurance marathon.
Ultra marathon, whatever you want to tack on to equate to 60 years of running, 52 years of running. And Stanley, 3 years ago, I think it was, 3 years ago, I'm delivering a keynote talk somewhere in Ohio to hundreds of nonprofit leaders. And at break, a lady comes up to me and she says, I didn't know you were going to talk about Stanley Tam. And I look at her, I'm like, how do you know Stanley Tam? And she says, oh, he's in my nursing home. He runs our prayer ministry at 104 years old. And I was just floored because here again, Stanley is showing up in my world, in my sphere, and he's still having impact at 104. Like nobody lives that way. I mean, it's so rare. And so when you find gems like this, you just want to spend time with them and soak up all of their information. You know, it's the way they do life, the way they think, the way they focus, the way they align their resources. They match their thinking with their words, with their actions, with their pocketbook. It's just impressive. And so, you can tell I'm freaking jacked about these people because I'm 49. You know, I'm 49. I feel like I've lived a lot, but man, there's so much more. And I look forward to seeing what can I put together in running in a similar way, my own way, but similar to what I've seen people like them run.
Well, I'm gonna put a little stake in the ground now, and I'm gonna say you're 49. You are not even halfway through your life. So
That's
you're
right.
not even at the you're not even at the exactly right. You're not even at the 13.1 mile mark of the New York Marathon. You're
That's right.
just getting started. Um, normally I would say are your best years ahead of you, but I know they are. But here's a different question: if today was the last day of your life, would it have been worthwhile? Would you have accomplished what you set out to accomplish?
Oh, here's what I am doing with my target is I am responsible to taking the steps. God's responsible for the results. I'm going to beat my body. I'm going to make it my slave. I'm going to run as hard as I possibly can. So my answer is I'm trying to live with no regrets. I have some regrets with some decisions because of a lack of focus, but I don't beat myself up over the past. I simply say, have I done the best that I know with what I have today? And if I were to go today, I'm good. Would I wish I could be a part of seeing some of the results happen? Absolutely. But I did the best with what I had for where I'm at today.
Well, I'm glad this was your last recording. No, I'm joking. But for sure, the seeds you planted and we continue to plant, the lives we touch, even this content stays forever. And I'll ask you the question very, intentionally because, I imagine we sit so many times with leaders that feel maybe that their best years are behind, or that they've, that they've had their shot and they blew their shot, that they're on the ropes or against the rails. And the reality is they're just getting started. Truly, these are not just words. These really are actions. These are meanings.
Yeah, the general. I mean, if you think about Kentucky Fried Chicken, he was 69 years old. If you read his story, he was peddling chicken recipes at 69 years old. And it took him 1,009 pitches living out of his car before someone bought the recipe at 69. Now, I know he had kind of a train wreck of a personal life, and I know he wasn't the smartest business guy, but what I value greatly is a person willing to grind, and they believed in something and he kept pitching it. And that's how he achieved whatever fame he did get. He achieved it at 69. So again, to your point, there's more uphill potential in my future than what I look in the rearview mirror. And I've never been one to look back and say, oh my gosh, look at all the amazing things I've done. I'm just more focused on grateful for what we did. Now let's stay focused on where we're going.
All right. Well, I'm going
to
to
rear view looking much.
Exact. Well, and as we've done even with EOS, when we run a quarterly, you start off, you kind of shut down the quarter. How do we do? Give it a grade, and then move on.
Yeah, but celebrate the win. Celebrate the wins. But learn from it and then put all your energy. Because if I look back too much and I'm like, well, Joseph, I'm pretty awesome. Have you noticed all my accolades? Have you noticed I did this and this and this and this and this? And I get so caught up in how good I was, I have no energy to tell you about where we're going. And so for me, it's like, let's grind. Let's look forward and let's run the race. And let's start taking steps. Massive action.
Well, I want to focus on the word discipline. We talk about traction as defined by discipline and accountability, and everyone really gets accountability. But what is your definition of discipline? What is discipline? How is it different to accountability? And why does success love discipline?
So this goes back to all of the greats. You can study all of the books. You can study any achiever. And discipline is the willingness. For me, it's two parts. It's the willingness to say, I know I have to do something to achieve this result. And so it's identifying the habit or the task or the activity that you have to do. And then you have to put it on repeat. You have to use immense amount of grit and apply that discipline to your life on a daily, weekly, sometimes it's minute by minute discipline to then bring about a result. So sometimes I'm coaching people that have some mental thought patterns that are destroying their opportunity. And so that thought pattern is a discipline. It is a routed, ingrained thought that they need to disrupt, and they need to start believing and capturing a new thought. Limiting beliefs have become habitual in their mind. So they need a new discipline to believe a new thought. And when they start putting that in their mind, it'll start to put grooves. If I could create a map with our head trash, we need a daily, minute by minute discipline to recognize, oh no, that's that thought. That's not true. Now I'm gonna take that thought, set it out. I'm gonna pick a new thought. That's a form of discipline. So that person has to apply mental discipline to overcome that thought, maybe for 2-3 years. I've had a couple of them that took me 3 years to overcome, but it was every single time I felt that thought, I was surrendering that thought and capturing the right thought, the new direction thought that was going to bring life to me. So I can go to your bank account. I can go to your health. I can go to your relationships. I can go to your career. I can go to how you own your vision. There's a discipline of setting vision, owning vision. We have it called the VTO. So discipline is a series of thoughts or activities or mindsets or actions that you apply day in and day out. And the reason why success loves discipline is because there's a lot of dreamers in this world. I have been one of them. I wanted this. I'm dreaming about this. But I never got some of those things until I actually fell in love with the discipline that delivers the result. Because I promise you, Joseph, tell me where you want to succeed. And I promise you there's at least one or two disciplines that if we unpacked the action required to get the result, the success you want, there's a couple disciplines in that recipe. There's an equation. And if you fall in love with the disciplines, the success will follow. Does that make sense?
Not only does it make sense, but you get the air horn. I was thinking as you were talking, I was thinking of routine, habits, routine. Mm-hmm. I was thinking of endurance is a huge part of it. But then there's also focus and prioritization, the ability to know what to say no to. And that is super hard as well. So it's almost like a recipe for discipline.
Yeah. I mean, James Clear does a phenomenal job in Atomic Habits, unpacking what, to me, he unpacks so many different, he calls them habits. They're atomic habits. To me, that's what discipline is. And you got to know, Joseph, I was one of the least disciplined people that I know. Massive procrastinator, delay, lack of consistency. I never wanted to have an agenda. I was a fart in a skillet. I'm running all over the place, all kinds of energy. And I was sitting here frustrated, not getting the results I wanted. And this actually, for me, it was kind of a faith moment for me, because I'm a Christian. And so the last, there's 9 fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness, faithfulness. And then I think the last one is self-control. Self-control. And I looked at my life and I'm like, I don't see much self-control. And that is self-discipline, self-control. It's the same thing. And so when I realized, man, I'm not even owning my faith the way that I want to own if I don't see discipline showing up in my life. And so me and God, we had a real talk that day. And I'm like, holy smokes, I need some of this discipline, and I got to change the way I'm showing up. And so I started just honestly not falling in love with the big dream and just falling in love with the activity that will bring the dream to life. And that was game changing for me.
I love that. That's the journey versus the destination. Please look out for Justin Maust's new book, which is sure to be a bestseller, A Fart in the Skillet.
That's the best way I could describe how I showed up on most days. You never knew what I was going to do.
It's better than being a fart in a perfume factory.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Justin, we'll talk about you because time is flying when we're having fun, and I am having fun. But the thing that connected us, and I want to make sure that we wind down and talk about you as a coach, because I'm sure people are lining up, no doubt. You put the expert in expert, but I want to talk about something that you've some of the IP, this concept of that you and the keynote that you call 7 practices of great leaders,
Yeah,
because people are desperate for direction, for guidance, for leadership. So I'd love for you to introduce this keynote,
sure.
right? What you shared with us, and afterwards we can talk about how this fits in and how this dovetails or layers into the EOS approach in terms of what we call, I suppose, LMA, leadership management and
Yeah.
accountability. To talk a little bit about these 7 practices of great leaders, why you created this framework.
Mhm. So this, I'm a certified speaker trainer coach with John Maxwell, and I watched John write 125 books. I didn't watch him, but he's known for that. Google ranks him the #1 leadership authority on the planet. And I followed like mentors like Darren Hardy, author of the Compound Effect, and Les Brown and Jim Rohn. And so there's this huge list, right? And you consume all the content, and all of a sudden you start to realize this is all very much the same. It's just said differently. And I
Mm.
feel that same way with my 7 practices. None of it is new, but I think there's an outer ring and then there's this inner ring. And so the outer ring is the blocking and tackling of any great leader trying to bring a team together or just bring themselves together. Number one, you got to clarify the win. You got to know, what am I going after? And we can clarify the win, short term, long term, or ultra long term, but you've got to know where you're going. Where are we trying to go? Clarify that win. And then number 2, you've got to execute on the win. And this is massive action. This is being a good steward with your time. If this is where I want to go, let's make sure that all of my activity is moving towards that result. It's astounding to me when someone says, oh yeah, I'm really trying to lose weight. And then I look at what they put in their mouth and I'm like, you're not trying very hard, because you say you want something, but the execution is not there. You must execute the win. Do the activity that's going to get the result. That's execute the win. And then be efficient with it. And then number 3 is we got to stop. We've been grinding. We've been clear on where we're going. We have to celebrate and evaluate the win. And this is 2 sides of the same coin. Great leaders are celebrating progress, not perfection. And they're also evaluating progress towards the win. So while I might have taken some good steps and I might have won some, they're evaluating, how can we make it better? How can we make the boat move faster? And so celebrating and evaluating is a skill. And there are some people, all they are is they just evaluate and their thumb is on you. And it's never good enough. And then there's other people, they'll give you a blue ribbon for everything. I don't even care if it's the right direction. They'll give you a blue ribbon because they're just going to say nice things. No. You've got to learn the ability to celebrate the success of others and evaluate the progress of others so that we can actually win the game. That's the outer ring. And then the inner ring is more what I would say, these are enhancers, and these are more in that social emotional intelligence side. And so number 4, to get the whole team rowing in the same direction, you have to use simple, direct, respectful communication. There are some people, they're just direct and they're kind of a-hole-ish. They're really not fun. There's not buy-in because they've not become winsome. And there's some people, they're super respectful, but they're not direct. They're beat around the bush. They can't say it because it's too hard. And so I'm just saying it's a skill to use simple, direct, respectful communication. And it's a skill that can be learned. And then the 5th practice is, if you're going to be in an environment to clarify the win, execute the win, celebrate and evaluate the win, using simple, direct, respectful communication, you need to refuse to be offended, because it's not about you. It's about the greater good. It's about the goal. It's about the win. Where are we trying to go? So refuse to be offended. So many times toxicity happens because people, when they're offended, they're thinking about themselves. And this is like, stop thinking about yourself. You just think about yourself more than you should. And so refuse to be offended is, hey, we're attacking the issues, not each other. We're trying to achieve the target. It's not about your agenda or your agenda. Just let's refuse to be offended. We're all focused on the common good. And then number 6 is, we call it in EOS, we're trying to IDS. We're trying to build an issues list. Before I was part of EOS, I called it remove the ripple. It's amazing to me how little things over time, when left unchecked, they create this massive tsunami, this storm that happens. It's really a culture thing. So remove the ripple. Imagine yourself, you're sitting in a lake, a very small lake, maybe the size of my room here or the size of my house. If I took a little pebble, Joe, if I took a little pebble, a little rock, and threw it in the middle of the pond, it would create these ripples, right? One rock thrown in, one negative thing thrown in, it will reverberate to the edges of the house because everything is affected by this one little rock that was thrown when left unaddressed. And you can resolve those ripples by putting in some swim lanes in a pool. You can diffuse the ripples because you have boundaries. Well, remove the ripple is simply saying we have individual issues, we have departmental issues, and we have organizational issues. And your job as a leader is to remove the ripples. Anything that causes disruption, any issue in the way of the vision, you've got to be committed to removing every ripple, every issue on the journey to getting where you want to go. And then the last practice is my favorite one. It's own it daily. This is the relentless march. John Maxwell says everything great is uphill. Everything great is uphill. A great marriage, a great bank account, a great company culture, great quarterly results. Everything is an uphill activity. And especially in America, we just want downhill results. Can I just get results and not have to put in the effort? And so you have to own it daily. This 75 Hard program I'm doing, I am owning it every freaking day. And you know what? I'm benefiting from it. I have 8% body fat. I don't know if I've ever had, maybe junior high. Maybe that's when I had 8% body fat. But this is delivering results because I actually own the activity. And so it's the turtle wins the race mindset. I'm not my personality is more of a rabbit. So I've had to beat myself into submission of loving these disciplines. And I always tell people, excuses are free to give and discipline is free to use. Excuses will end up costing you more than you ever thought you'd pay in the form of regret, disappointment, and dreams unfulfilled. And discipline will pay you more than you ever thought possible because you were willing to own it daily. So these 7 practices, they help teams, but they start with you. They start with you and I, man. If I'm not owning the disciplines of EOS, if I don't use these tools personally, how possibly can I challenge other leaders to own these tools? Like when I coach, people get it from guttural from me. I'm on a mission. Don't play games with me on these tools. These tools change your life. And so if you're not going to own it daily, go find someone else to help you. Said with love, Joseph.
Oh yeah. Well, so I'm thinking, first of all, I'm thinking when am I going to start training with you? But that's more motivated out of fear. They say we're not sure who the they is, that a coach is anywhere on a continuum between a cheerleader and a drill sergeant. I'm guessing that you're closer to the drill sergeant end of the continuum. Would that be an accurate statement?
Well, my wife, since I went on this massive pursuit of discipline, my wife would say I'm a little meaner now. So probably more on the drill sergeant. But I will tell you, It is not because I'm not convicted and passionate about helping you win or whoever I'm serving win, but I'm literally a dog on the back of a meat truck. If you tell me this is what you want, then by George, I'm going to help you get there, and I will face every single hard thing on the way to getting there. And if you don't want to go there, that's okay. You don't need me if you don't want me to get in your face and help you. And I do it in love. I do it according to core values, but I'm practicing what we're trying to do. I'm removing the ripples. And I've found, honestly, I don't know about you, but I've found that the mountaintops are fun to achieve, but it's in the journey where all the issues lie, which is the adventure of me becoming more. Like, I love the journey of becoming more. Like, I know where I want to go, and I'm trying to become the kind of person that will help me get there. And I'm fully equipped, and yet I'm running. And so I think of Olympic athlete versus casual athlete. If you want me as your coach, you're probably not trying to be a casual athlete, because you really don't need a coach for that.
I want to share with you a quote. I was sent this morning, and I've only referenced it about 58 times today already. It apparently is, even though Brianna Wiest's name is next to the quote, my wife tells me that it traces back to ancient times and even Kabbalist times. And this is the quote, and it's exactly what you just said. One day, the mountain that is in front of you will be so far behind you, it will barely be visible in the distance. But the person you become in learning to get over it, that will stay with you forever. And that is the point of the mountain.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm doing this 10,000 Achievements Challenge. Like, I have a decent EOS practice. I love my clients. Everything is good. But it is not going to get me where I want to go. And so we did this challenge, and I'm right freaking now, Joseph, I am hitting the ceiling. I love redlining. I love hitting the ceiling. Do you know why I love hitting the ceiling? Why do you guys like you and I love hitting the ceiling, Joseph?
Why do we love hitting the ceiling? I guess we love hitting the ceiling because I guess it tells us that we've reached a certain point, and now we have to dig deep, and we have to level up and kind of get to the next level of our growth and our journey.
I'm about to break through. That's why I love hitting a ceiling. I'm not a bodybuilder, but I've been around some guys that lift weights, and they have a spotter, and they're trying to push weight. And the only way they grow weight, they put mass on their bodies, is they have to break their muscle down. They have to go to failure. And so they say, man, it was a freaking great workout today because I went to failure. Like, that's how they grow. And so for me, I'm super excited that I'm getting my butt kicked right now because I'm hitting the ceiling, and I know I'm about to break through because I'm unrelenting and trying to figure out, what do I got to do? How do I take it? And I'm bumping up against that ceiling. So that is literally what's happening. And it just happens to be that this challenge is what's doing it for me. But this is the kind of the embodiment of, if I take all of my passions, my 6 words, my core passion statement, I want to bless people. I want to grow companies, and I want to fund ministry. And I look outside in the corporate world, and we just have not done an amazing job of celebrating the success of others. And I'm like, I wonder what I could do. And in March, it was so cool. I had the chance to give my mom and dad a car. They both work in full-time ministry, so they don't buy new cars. And so my wife and I were able to give them this car, and it sparked an idea. I'm like, wait a minute. What if I bought a Corvette? And I know that people struggle celebrating the wins inside of their company. Maybe this could be a tool to help them celebrate. So the only way you win, like you have a chance to win this Corvette, is if you get nominated. If some leader picks their head up and sees you and says, you know what? Let's say I'm your boss, Joseph. Man, I'm so proud of Joseph. He's crushing it. So I would enter you into the 10,000 Achievements Challenge that Titus Talent is sponsoring. And I would go online, I'd nominate you. And here's the kicker. I, as the boss, have to spend time thinking about you, Joseph, and I get to write an authentic note specifically to you that's genuine, that's real, meaningful. And so I'm writing this note, and then you'll get this like bubble mailer in the mail that says you've been nominated. So it's kind of like a party in the mailbox. And then we give you this plaque to remind you, Joseph, of why I'm nominated you. I'm trying to promote a culture of discipline. And so you open up this package and there's a letter and it says, hey, you've been nominated. Here's what Justin had to say about you. That is leaders picking their head up, celebrating the success of other people. And then for me, it has to fund ministry. And so all the net proceeds of this project go to fund youth nonprofits across the country. So my wife and I literally have, instead of writing a check to fund a ministry, we just wrote a check to fund this program. That's kind of sunk cost. So it costs $100 to nominate someone. And I've never done this, but we think the numbers will be around 40% of this will be net proceeds. And so I can't wait to see how many people we get to recognize through this achievement, this challenge. And then I can't wait to see how much we get to fund youth nonprofits. It's going to be awesome. And I'm hitting the ceiling at the same time.
You know what? I'm going to give you a second air horn. And, Justin, I have to say, you're almost everything that I hoped for today. Unfortunately, you lacked in a couple of areas. Just to be open and honest, entering the danger. I don't find you to be passionate. You're very low energy. You're clearly not focused at all. But besides those shortcomings, I always love to ask, what are your 3 uniques ultimately? If I haven't mentioned them already, the anti-values, right? But in all seriousness, what would you say are your 3 uniques as a coach?
My uniques as a coach. I mean, what I do is my unique ability is I ignite and fuel people with tools and disciplines to succeed. So ignite and fuel me. Ignite meaning I'm bringing my A game. I'm bringing my passion. Fuel meaning I don't just have some good concept. I literally have tools that I'm going to fuel you with, that if you use them, if you practice them daily, it's going to help you get the results that you want. EOS is one of those tools, and it's my primary tool if you're a business owner. But unique ability to me, you're going to get passion, you're going to get the truth with me, and we're going to have a lot of fun with some serious grit involved. Like we're going to climb a mountain together. So that's what you get when you get Justin.
Well, I'll tell you, you and I are actually quite similar. I guess we're like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie Twins, where I would be DeVito and you would be Schwarzenegger. It's part of my uniques as well, being a truth teller. Part of my, actually, I would say as a core value, right? Being a truth teller. Yeah. Passionate to a fault, and fun. It's amazing to me how many coaches have been on the show, and fun is up there. Fun is up there. Life is serious. Business is serious. But at the same time, there's that old quote, which is no one ever said on their deathbed, I should have spent more time in the office. And I reject that. I go, why wouldn't you have wanted to spend more time in your office? Why wouldn't you have wanted to be just a little bit more like like Stanley or David, that with every breath that they were given from the Almighty, they used every moment rather than just going and playing rounds and rounds and rounds of golf.
100%, dude. 100%. Like that's if you're like mediocre in your desire to move the needle, you and we're probably not the right fit for anybody. But if you're trying to like level up and you want some perspective, guys like Joseph and I think we can be helpful. But listen, here's the biggest thing I want you to own leaving this session. What are the disciplines that you need to fall in love with so you actually get to live your freaking best life? You're only 1 or 2 disciplines away. Like most people aren't trying to suck. And so if there's a couple disciplines that you're like, that would be game changing, what do you got to do to own those things? Take steps, find those disciplines and own them. Joseph, thank you for letting me be on your show, man.
You're welcome. Listen, if you are watching this and you feel sometimes that you are like a fart in the skillet, I'm going to send it right back to you, and I'm going to say you need to pick up the phone and call Justin. He may have one, maybe if you're lucky, he has one more place for one more client. You can connect with him on LinkedIn, Justin Maust. You can follow the discipline, be successful, and love the discipline on Facebook. You can email him at justin@justinmaust.com and check out the Titus Talent 10,000 Achievements Challenge. I had Jonathan Reynolds on the show, and he was, I called him Titan, never mind Titus. You know, I love being around people that just, you know, are on mission, on passion, you know, on purpose. On purpose, right? That's why they say on purpose. Justin, last word to you. Just something that, you know, anything that I didn't get to ask you or that you want to share with the audience as we wind down.
Dude, I think we hit it all. You're phenomenal. Like, thank you so much for doing this. You have a skill set. You super funny. I mean, fun, engaging, on point. Like, you made fun of me like 4 different times on the fart in the skillet. That was awesome. Like, this was a blast. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome, and please look out for the AI generation, the, you know, generative AI of Justin Maust, you know, crossing the line, the 10th. No, I'm just kidding. This has been a real pleasure, and as I said, there was a reason that there was such a strong connection. You've left a lot unsaid in terms of your personal connection, your own story, but I feel in this particular case, that's why you want to do, for people that are watching, do a little bit of due diligence, dig a little bit deeper. You know, you will connect with Justin and his story. You will find your own story. And the last thing that I just want to leave with, Justin, I forgot to say it, and it's really important. If I understood this and heard you correctly, the difference, if this is a game of inches, if life is a game of inches, the difference between you being able to get everything that you ever dreamt of and wished for is just a discipline or two, an atomic habit or two away. Figure out what it is and go get it. And we will be back very soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Oh, baby.
We're the ones who dare to dream. We won't let anyone hold us back. We'll take the road, let's travel by and build our empire piece by piece. We've got our dreams and we've got a plan. We're not afraid to take a stand. We'll face the risks and embrace the fear, cause we know that success is near. There will be times when we'll fall down, but we'll get up and turn it around. We're entrepreneurs, we're not afraid to lose. We'll keep moving forward, we got nothing to prove.